Yes, people, welcome back to the We Are Tottenham TV pre-match pump-up show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's game day. I'm your host for this evening, Sean Butler from the Spurs Talk Show. And with me, you know these two absolutely famous faces from around the community. We got Big Dave Harris from the Irish Hotspur, and we got our brother from Canada, Brian Daigle from Tottenham on tour. I'll start with you, Brian. How are you feeling, my man?
All good, all good. Very, very, very excited for what we're about to watch. It's been a long time waiting. and now the wait is over, and Champions League is well and truly back.
Certainly is, buddy. It certainly is. It's great to be here with you today. Dave, my man, we're going to be taking us through, I forgot to mention, we're taking us through all the way through until the watch-along starts, and then the post-match fan show that I believe Bob Spur, I'm not sure who's joining Bob Spur today. Bob Spur and who else?
I think it's Bob Spur and Nick Barry, Sean Phil Grant, Dr. Leg Ranjit. They will put on a show for you. I think it is.
Lovely, jubbly. Dave, my man, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm absolutely pumped. Look, Sean, this is the nights I absolutely live for. This is the nights all Tottenham fans live for. Back in the big time where we belong, Europeans elite, and to see us don that all lily white kit tonight under the lights, it's going to be absolutely amazing. European football is back at Champagne Lane, and hopefully we see some champagne football tonight. I'm absolutely buzzing. In fact, everybody is. There's a light show on before the game. They're encouraging fans to get in there early, wear all white, get the flags out, create an atmosphere. Let's fucking go, boys. This is what we live for. Come on. And by the way, I just want to say to Arsenal fans, if you don't mind, if you could keep me updated in the chat on what's going on Coronation Street tonight, that'd be absolutely brilliant.
Superb entry, my man. Listen, guys, just to keep you updated on all of the news about the game, it does start at 8 o'clock. If you're in the UK, you can find it on BT Sport. If you want to watch the game, obviously you want to listen to it or listen to the watch along right here on WeAreTottenhamTV. The referee for tonight's game is Slavko Vincic from Slovenia. The fourth official, I'm going to butcher some of these names, Matej Jug from Slovenia. The video assistant is Bastian Dankert from Germany. Yeah. And the video assistant ref is Vedaye San from Switzerland. Team news.
Hopefully they know how to use that system, Sean, the VAR. You know, we seem to struggle in the Premier League, so hopefully these guys know what they're at.
100%, man. We are going to touch a little bit on VAR as the show goes through. But just so you know, obviously we're going to see the team news in about 23 minutes' time. But the news that we can confirm is that Lucas Moura for Tottenham is out. Apart from that, at least as far as we're aware, everyone is available for selection. And in terms of Marseille, we know that apparently Samuel Gigot and Dimitri Payet are suspected injuries and won't be included, and Alexis Sanchez is suspended for tonight's game. We'll bring you more on the team news as we get it. I'm going to start with you, Dave, my man. So first of all, quickly, couple of seconds, how does it feel to be back in the Champions League?
I mean, Sean, it just feels absolutely fantastic. I'll be honest, right? I sat there before my show and before this show as well. I was just sitting there listening to the Champions League music, and not only does it get my heart pumping, you know, my blood flowing, Sean, it gives me an absolute massive 10-foot pylon. You know, these are the nights that we absolutely love to see. You know, Harry Kane, watching him walk out there with a fresh haircut, the goal record he has in European football, especially in Champions League, I just know he's going to turn up. Sonny, you know, has carried us through Europe before, and I expect him to be able to turn up tonight and do the same again. But, Sean, it's what we live for. I mean, I'm sitting there listening to music, and I'm like, oh, imagine being an Arsenal fan today. I mean, you know, they have absolutely nothing to get revved up for, nothing to get pumped up for. And, you know, all they're going to be sitting there is seeing two televisions because of the tears in their eyes watching us play tonight. You know, but these are the moments. Look, this is where Tottenham Hotspur truly belong. You know, this is where the owners also, you know, want us to be, because they sat Pochettino on the top four remit, sat Jose Mourinho on the top four remit, and done the same with Nuno. So this is where the owners expect us to be. This is where the fans expect us to be. And this is where our elite players want to be, the likes of Kane, Son, Lloris. You know, they've missed out on it the last few years. They haven't been happy, moaning, crying, etc. Well, now's the time to step up and deliver and show how much you want to be here. Let's go. I'm pumped.
I can hear it, buddy. I can hear it.
If you see my computer rising backwards like that, you know the Champions League song is taking full effect.
Brian, I'm going to come to you with a bit of a different angle on this, right?
Yep.
You know, considering that we did get such a favourable draw, on paper it could have been a lot more tricky.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have to also factor in that the way that the fixtures played out, we did manage to get the pot 4 team at home first game, which on paper, again, is even more favourable. But Marseille are no mugs, and we saw last night what can happen to teams if they underestimate the opposition. Chelsea losing away in Kiev, or at Kiev, playing against Kiev, I should say. Are we how should we be taking this? Should we be really excited and kind of thinking to ourselves, this is a game that we should be able to steamroll Marseille, or do we have to be a little bit wary of this opposition more so than we otherwise would picking the 4th team at home on the first game?
So the excitement, Sean, is for us, is the fans. That's what the excitement's for. But going out and doing the job, that's on the players. Every single fan right now has been waiting for this. I liken hearing that music. So whenever I fly home, as soon as my plane goes into London, I stop whatever I'm doing, whatever movie I'm watching, whatever music I am, and I change it to all English bands. Queen, Oasis, everything has to be English when I fly over. When I fly over Ireland, get over into international waters, into England, everything stops, and I put my English music on. That's what this music means to me. When we hear this music today, it's like, that's what we've been waiting for. That's where the excitement and adrenaline kicks in for us. Excitement, adrenaline for us, adrenaline, and it's time to go to work for the lads.
Yeah, love it.
With this group, like you said, we've got to be very, very. We have got the easiest, like it or not, we have got the easiest pot and the easiest tie, the easiest group. And having the top 4 team at home first is a good chance to get the Champions League off to a good start. But Marseille are no mugs. Just because they're top 4, they're doing very well in the French league. I know it's nothing like the English league, but they are on form and they come into Tottenham with confidence. We should be highly confident as well. But yeah, I think this is the way the ties worked out, and thankfully we're at home with having to travel to Manchester, the huge game next week. There's no extra flight or anything like that. So yeah, it's worked out very, very well in our favour.
Of that, my man. Do you guys want to? Is there any? I've seen some super chats come through. Before I move into the next segment, do you want to run through them?
Yeah, first of all, KS25, he wants to know, can Brian sing the Champions League anthem?
When I sing the Champions, listen. I've got many talents, or people may say they're not talents, but one of my talents is certainly not singing. certainly not singing. So I'm not even going to attempt it.
Nice. Why aren't you wearing your shirt today, mate? I know it's
okay.
Like
So I've seen a few people. That shirt is not.
It's Premier League only.
Today.
Premier League.
It's not. It's intentional because that shirt has done Tottenham Hotspur very good in the Premier League. That is the Premier League, and as superstitious as I am, I don't want to wear it tonight. And if we don't get a result, that means it's over. This has gone in the Premier League, and we have a very, very big game on Saturday. And to me, it's more important I'm wearing that shirt and the streak's still on, rather than risk it in the Champions League. So it's the Premier League. So we're going invincible like the filth with that shirt. So I'm not risking it with any other game.
Mate. I've got my lucky underwear on anyway, so it's
there
okay.
we go.
We've got enough blood coming out of my arse.
There you go.
Sorry, Dave.
Just a quick thought on the Champions League, actually. It's a good job Mikel Arteta's free today, because we need someone to test out the PA system to make sure, it sounds right over our PA system. And I just also wonder, now when they come up against us in the North London Derby, will they also bring out the PA system training ground and play the Champions League music to get them ready for us? Just a thought.
Very good, very good. So do you want to do these super chats for me, Dave?
Yeah, Michael Hellman says, big up Spurs. This channel creates such a wholesome community for us die-hard Spurs fans. Let's enjoy these moments. Come on, you Spurs. Shawnee, what would you say to Michael? He's correct here.
Yeah, he's very much correct, mate. I fell in love with the community. I found Dave through WeAreTottenhamTV. It was I distinctly remember it was the Burnley away game when he got postponed, and me and you ended up having a 50-minute debate about Levy. Had that game not been delayed on this channel, I wouldn't have been doing anything to do with the community. So, I've got a lot of love for WeAreTottenhamTV.
Big up, Michael. Big up, my man. Honestly, they're the ones that have opened the community up to everybody. So, a special mention to Ben and Simon.
Why they're called the mothership. It's why I call them the mothership. They are the root of everything.
Exactly, and the lucky fuckers are at the game today as well. Josh King Coy says, yes, lads, come on, you Spurs. Let's kick off the Champions League in style. Well, it won't be for a wanted looking the part, my man, because we're wearing all lily white tonight. So, all we've got to see is just see that classiness transform into the boots. And, Big H today, I'm telling you, Josh, get a $5 on it, my man, or 5 of your cryptos on it. Get 5 of your cryptocurrencies on it, my man. Big up, Josh. Really appreciate support, brother. And then we have Moondog. He says, big up, Sean, Dave, and Brian. Big up. no dire bet today. Save it for Sporting Lisbon. I know it's hard, but today, honestly, get your money on a cane brace. I can feel it, brother. Big up Moon Doggy.
Lovely, jubbly. Is that all of them for the time being? Lovely. Right. Well, before we get into the specifics of the actual game, guys, I just want to speak for a little bit about Conte and his record in the Champions League versus the Premier League. Right. We all know he's Premier League proven. He's the king. He gets the job done, even when everyone's betting against him. But his overall record in the Champions League leaves a little bit to be desired. He's played 36 games. He's won 12. He's drawn 13. He's got 11 defeats. You split those right down the middle, essentially. I'll come to you first, Brian, on this one, my man. Why do you think? Can you put your finger on anything of what has been the reason for the struggle for Conte with his teams across Europe, rather than the success that he has in the domestic competitions?
I think if you look at it, last season when we were in the Conference League or playing, he always said to playing 2 games back to back isn't what I like. I prefer to have a week with my players. So when they go. Maybe that's got something to do. And then you have the travelling it. Do you know what, as well? With Antonio Conte, like you said, we know what he can do. He's tried and tested in domestic leagues. Wherever he goes, he wins. That puts a lot of pressure on a guy. That puts a lot of pressure on a guy. And he's had, don't get me wrong, that Chelsea team could have done bits. If he had stayed with him to that season and hadn't left, he might have been able to do bits. But you know what? There may be just something about knockout competition when it gets there is something he needs to work on. It's something he needs to work on. Maybe he had big injuries that he couldn't recover from and have the replacements for. Maybe there was a suspension that he couldn't readjust to. So it's not the most favourable, but like we said, like people have said about how Conte has always had a girlfriend and hopefully now he's found a wife to build a career and to build a legacy up with. Maybe that's with us now. All these records are here. Records are made to be broken. Yeah. So hopefully he can smash this one into obliteration and get us further than he ever has done.
Yeah, nice. I think I tend to agree. I think it's very difficult to put your finger on some of the things, but I do think that having that 3 days to prepare, whereas he used to having 7 days in the Premier League, I think he likes to stick, and maybe that's part of the reason why he also is quite reserved in his use of substitutes, because he plans for the game in long in advance. And he doesn't want to have to change unless he's absolutely forced to. Dave, I mean, I'll come to you on this one. You can take it where you want, but I did have a specific question for you. Conte does prefer to use 3-4-3 as his number one tactic for Tottenham, at least, and I think most of the time in the past as well. And we've seen this season in the league that we can be at times overran in midfield. Now, a lot of people tell me that are experts, in football that know far more about it than I do, that Champions League is won and lost in the midfield battle. And that's why a lot of teams in Champions League like to overload. Do you think that could be part of the reason why Conte has struggled traditionally in the Champions League, that he likes to stick to his formation, and that the teams that he plays against or comes up against would naturally have an extra man or two to suffocate the life out of the midfield?
I think you definitely have an argument there. Look, for me, I'm not worried about Conte's record. I take it on board, but I'm also not worried about the midfield. As proven last week, you have ball players at the back line, Langley and Romero over Davies and Sanchez. Your midfield are going to see a lot more of the ball, and they're going to be a lot more involved in the game because they're not going around chasing it. And we've seen how good Højbjerg and Bentancur looked. I must stress that they also have Champions League experience as well. Højbjerg, I think, played a couple for Bayern Munich when he was younger, and Bentancur at Juventus has Champions League experience as well. But for me, Shawnee, I think Højbjerg and Bentancur are well able to look after themselves. I do think we have enough in the midfield to be able to play our system and get out of the group stage. Now, where it becomes tricky is in the knockout stages, when you potentially could start getting the likes of Bayern, PSG, Real Madrid and stuff like that. And they just have better quality players all over the pitch than what we do. So I do think if we don't go into the market in January and buy somebody, I think you will have to maybe look at maybe putting an extra man in midfield, suffering a little, and go 2 up top and try and catch them on the counter. I do think, but for the group stage, I think we have more than enough in this midfield to be able to see the group stage out and get out top.
Nice. And staying with you, Dave, just quickly on Conte's system, because I do want to move into what we expect from the Champions League this season, then look into tonight's game specifically. But just because I know we've only got 10 minutes before the teams come out, just real quick, do you think that, is there any part of Conte's mindset, do you think that he deprioritises the Champions League? is in favour of the domestic competitions that he's in? And if so, do you think that as a Tottenham manager, that might actually influence some of the team selections that we see either tonight or at Sporting or at Frankfurt in the coming weeks? Because we do have such tough games in the Premiership, like league deciding games in the Premier League that are coming up in the next 6. So I wonder if you do think he deprioritises the Champions League, or even if you don't, do you think that because of the group stages are being surrounded by such difficult games in the Premier League, that maybe that the team selection we'll see will be influenced by those factors?
I think after tonight, I think you'll start getting away with rotating a couple of times and maybe prioritizing some of the Premier League games. Look, I think if you look at Conte's record, he's got a lot of domestic titles, and it does look like maybe he favours domestic competitions over European competitions when you weigh up his European record compared to his domestic record. And look, there may well be a case down the line where he might have to do that, a bit like what Pochettino done when we made it to the Champions League final that time against Liverpool. You could see he was saving all the big guns for the European games, and it was influencing his league selection. But I'll be honest, when I look at this group, Sean, I know people are going to say you have to respect, Marseille, you have to respect German hot dogs, and you have to respect, sunny Lisbon. But at the end of the day, lad, to be honest with you, I look at that group. We're Tottenham Hotspur. We've got world-class players. Like, we should be beating these teams. And I think after tonight's game, get the 3 points, because what we don't want to do is mix up the team tonight, because I can guarantee you put in Sanchez and Davies, and you rest Romero and Lenglet, for instance, for Man City, you're going to we're making problems off our own backs, because we know they're not as good to be able to play out from the back. So tonight, we don't want to take that risk or make problems for ourselves. You put your strongest team out and you get the result, because we were in a group back with Monaco, Leverkusen, and Moscow, which we all thought we should have topped, but we didn't get out. When we've made rotations against Zagreb, when we thought the job was done, we got knocked out. When we made rotation against Enes Mora and Vitesse, we lost them games. Embarrassing. Should never ever happen. So for me, you get off to the best possible start, because the next 2 games in the league are away. You've got Frankfurt away and Lisbon away. So you need 3 points at home, and you need a good start. So you go with your strongest lineup, and you worry about City at the weekend when it comes to it. In fact, put the strongest lineup today, instruct them to get it over and done with early, put the strongest lineup against City. Then you've got Sporting and Leicester. That's where you can start making changes and resting some of these guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. Really nice take, mate. I agree 100%. Brian, I just want to get your take on what you would consider. Like, I know that we have this debate, or at least I've been involved in the debate forever, about what is success and what is failure, or relative success. What would you deem the Champions League, our first Champions League campaign for a couple of years, right? It didn't go so well last time we were there. Eric Conte, maybe, hopefully not, but maybe his last season at Tottenham. What would you deem as a successful stage to get to? Not successful, but a relatively successful stage where we can look back and say, all right, that was a fairly decent campaign. If we don't go on to win it, what's the stage you think would be where we don't get too upset with ourselves?
For me, it would have to be quarterfinals.
Okay.
It would have to be, because we should technically get out of this group. We should technically. Let's if we're all betting people, like I said, like David just said, when we thought we could have got out, we didn't. But if you look at this with Conte, with the players that are there now, this should be out of the group. Whether it's first or second, who knows? But we should get out of this group. Then you get past the last 16, and then obviously then things become, it's luck of the draw. You could get there is no easy ties come quarterfinals. But the most important for me to deem a success is making sure we're back in it next year. To keep that, we've got to consistently keep getting there and hitting it and making sure the revenue's coming in, attract the players, whatever. But I think after this time of going out, you got to remember as well, with the World Cup, we don't know what players are coming back, how they're coming back. That could work as a huge positive to us, but it could also do the exact opposite. So for me, getting to the quarterfinals, I would say, do you know what? That's been a good evening, Wayne, my brother. I would say that's par. Yeah, that's okay. I'm happy.
Semi-finals is pretty decent. Last 16 is a disappointment.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, love it. Love it, guys. All right, we've got 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes until the teams come out. And I've got 2 questions to ask you about rotation and stuff before we see the team. But before we do, I think it's important that I just drop a little bit of a insight into Marseille. I know a lot of people aren't going to be too familiar with Marseille. Look, it's difficult to get too much information about them, about how they play, because in a nutshell, Tottenham have never played against Marseille before. This is our first encounter, at least in the Champions League era. And they've only had 6 games with their current manager, right? So they had their previous manager, Jorge Sampaoli, who did very well for them, took them back into the Champions League, but then left. He resigned from the club in the second week of the transfer window, citing that he didn't feel like the board had backed him. That's a common theme, obviously, with lots of managers. And he was replaced with ex-Juventus defender and friend of Antonio Conte, Igor Tudor. And when Igor Tudor came in, he completely reversed their entire strategy, their entire performance. They went from being a high possession team. They used to sit back and kind of low energy, but just kind of suck the life out of the game and then go and do well against the French opposition. And they've now become, apparently, from what I've been looking at my new Y Scout tool, which is incredible tool. They've become a super high energy, high press team that looks to win the ball back through their midfielders, Rongier and then Guendouzi, who's now being played in a more advanced role rather than the central midfield, the box-to-box that he used to be. Nice, mate. Nice bringing that up. And then they win the ball back through those two and then look down the left-hand side into Tavares, ex-Arsenal man, or Jonathan Klaus, who was a Tottenham target a couple of years ago. To me, I think that this particular formation, if they do play this 3-4-2-1 formation, which we'll find out in about 4 minutes time, and if they do the higher press, if they do the high energy stuff, expect a difficult first 25 minutes where they're going to put a lot of pressure under us. But do you think, and I'll come to you first, Dave, on this, do you think that kind of system suits Tottenham? Do you think that kind of system, not only for the game tonight, but also in preparation for the first time we're going to play against that in a much more difficult scenario away at City on Saturday?
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of setup is something that we can benefit from this evening? If it's true, if my research has been proven, I could look like a complete idiot in the game, but
just about to say, let's just see how your research pans out and hope
we'll find out.
And hope it comes. But no, you're right. If they do that, it's going to be a good test for us. What you've got to realise is tonight the crowd, the White Hart Lane faithful, will have that place like an absolute war zone. It'll be like the Arsenal game. The atmosphere and everything. I think they have a huge part in this, and I think they will suck the life out of Marseille. I really do. They may come out brightly and they may come out quickly, but you've got to look after the Fulham
Brian,
game.
I'll interrupt you. The lineup is out, my man.
There we go.
Hugo Lloris starts in goals. There you are. Shawnee has it. Shawnee, you can take over.
Yeah, we've got Hugo Lloris in goal, captain fantastic. Emerson Royale on the right, Romero, Dyer, and Longley is the same back three as last weekend against Fulham. Longley comes back in. Perisic comes back in for Sessegnon, which is interesting. Bentancur and Højbjerg retain their places in the midfield, and then we've got the same front three of Richarlison, Sonny, and Kane. So Decky once again sits on the bench, and the substitutes are Fraser Foster, Matt Doherty, Jed Spence, Japet Tanganga, Davinson Sanchez, Ben Davies, Ryan Sessegnon, Ollie Skip, Pape Sarr, Bissouma, Brian Hill, and Kulusevski. Who wants to talk us through that one?
Yeah. Sorry, Daigle, I cut you off. You can go first. I'll come in after.
I don't know. I mean, it actually came out just on time, because I was about to say, with going with this rotation, you've got to look at it. I was about to say, you look at that front three, whatever way you look at it, whether it had been Son, Kulu, Kane, or whatever combination you would have used, that front line is goddamn frightening. And the performance that Richarlison put out on Saturday was breathtaking. Really, really was. All right, he didn't score or whatever, but he had that goal disallowed, the volley that hit this post, the overall play. That front three is so explosive, so dynamic, that if Marseille do try to do what you were saying, Sean, any scraps that get to this front three, they're devastating. They won't know what hit them. And I think now you add into that team lineup the ball playing attributes of Longley and the quality of Perisic. I love the look of this team. I am so confident now I've seen this team. Obviously, we can all talk about Royale and should it have been Spence, should it have been Doherty. It is what it is. We know Conte likes him. We know Conte trusts him. I'm delighted with that lineup. Absolutely delighted.
Hey, I've got to ask you, mate, just quickly on this one. This is the 4th game in 10 days, my man. It will be 5 in 13. It will be 6 in 16 and 7 in 20 by the time we had our little current run. every one of those players has played, with the exception of Perisic, seems to be the only one that's being rotated with Sessegnon game by game. And maybe you could argue that Longley is starting to be rotated with Dyer. But everybody else, I know it's only 6 games in, but the frequency of games and the energy, is there any concern there for you, Dave, on that part? And what are your thoughts overall on the lineup?
No, I'm not concerned tonight because I think the energy and the excitement from a lot of these players who we've heard speak about the Champions League, that will carry them through tonight. Not a bother. They'll have no problem getting up for the City game. Not a bother. So I'm not worried about it. But like I said, next week against Sporting, you could probably rotate a couple. Leicester, who their players are just waiting to sack Brendan Rodgers, you could probably rotate a couple there and get away with it. Right now, I don't blame Conte going with his strongest team. You got to remember, first game in charge, Enes Moura tried to give other players that have been on the fringes a chance, bit him in the ass. He's not going to take that risk tonight. Your next 2 games are away. You've got to start with your strongest team, and I think playing Romero and Langley is huge for us. It means hopefully now we can dominate the ball. We can start playing it into dangerous areas where before under Sanchez and Davies we couldn't. You know, our team was so far pushed back more or less in our own half, and we're relying on trying to get long balls over the top. With Langley and Romero, if they do decide to press us, they've got accurate passing. They'll make them over the top balls. But they can also feed the likes of Højbjerg, Bentancur a bit further up the pitch, in space, with time, feed Perisic. I'm loving that back line. Look, Romero, Langley and Perisic, it's crucial that we have these guys in there to be able to play out from the back because it's the way Conte wants to play. And when you're playing in possession, it takes the pressure off your back line, takes the pressure off your midfield, and it gives your forward players plenty of opportunities to create, like we've seen against Fulham at the weekend. So I'm absolutely excited about this. For me, it was crucial that, you know, Langley, Romero and Perisic played today. I think Bentancur and Højbjerg, brilliant against Fulham. I think what I'd like to see from Højbjerg is the reason why he got his goal is because he doesn't usually break into the box like that, but he did against Fulham. So hopefully we'll see more of that. And the more we keep possession, the more you're going to see a lot more of our players taking risks and getting forward because they're confident in the boys that we have behind us to be able to sweep up the ball and get us going again. So for me, I'm absolutely buzzing with that. And I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I'm buzzing Son kept his place. Because for me, I've said it time and time again, you don't drop a world-class player. And this guy carried us through to the Champions League final when Kane was out injured, especially in the knockout stages. He loves European nights, and I'm glad to see that Conte is sticking by him. And Richarlison, he earned his place after the Fulham game, in my opinion. I think he deserves to play. I think it is harsh on Kulu Sexy, but you know, bar Southampton, the end product hasn't been there. He's been a winning runner, a winning ball carrier, but the end product hasn't been there. And unfortunately, Richarlison came in. Slick Rick took his opportunity. Tremendous technique for that volley that hit the post. Goal disallowed. Set up a goal as well. So I think he deserves it. And Big H, I mean, what can I say? I just know he's going to score tonight. I just know.
Yeah, I'm trying. That's great analysis, my man. I'm trying to find the Marseille team, guys. I don't think that's been released yet. At least it hasn't been on the official Marseille Twitter account and it on Google and Sky Sports. I can't see it yet either. So I'll keep an eye out for that to see whether my 11 that I had up there looks similar to what the actual starting 11 is. Let me just touch for a second on this rotation, guys. I agree with everything both of you have just said. When it comes to, let's start with the right wing back spot. It's probably, or the wing back should be in a 3-4-3 system, should be the position that requires the most running. It would be the most intense, activity, intense position for activity. At what point do you think, if this is the strongest 11, and it looks like it, the only difference maybe you could argue the Richarlison for Kulusevski, but essentially this looks like the strongest 11 at the moment. Do you predict that the same 11 will go out against Manchester City again? And if so, at what point do we start to see rotation for Matt Doherty to come back in? Is he fully fit yet? I don't know. Or Jed Spence. What about Skippy and Bissouma? When do they get their next bedding? I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised, but I am surprised that we've gone full strength yet again in this encounter.
I think you may see Sessegnon back for City. Yeah. I really do. He played very well against City. He played very well against Liverpool last season. And I would rather Sessegnon start against City with Perisic to come on and make a huge impact than the other way round.
Yeah.
I think you'll see Davies back in for Longley. And who knows, he may go with Kulu instead of Richie, but I would expect to see, if I was to guess which two would I see different, I think it would be Davies and Sessegnon starting, with Perisic to come on make a big difference nearer the end. That would be my choice there. And then obviously the one with Kulusevski, you just don't know. I mean, what David was saying about Son about dropping him, what I will say is Son looked a hell of a lot brighter
So much better against
on Saturday. It was
Yeah.
night and day to what we've seen. He just couldn't get the rub of the green and score that goal in the bar. He had a couple of other opportunities. That seemed to be the awakening of him, and hopefully tonight he will get a performance, because we all do know he loves playing against City. He loves playing against City, so I can't see him going. So I think Richarlison for Kulusevski, and maybe, like I said, the two defenders, maybe the change for City.
I agree. I agree with John Sonny at the weekend. It was great to see him cutting in, beating players, getting his shots off. I mean, the one, seeing the Harry Kane and Sonny telepathic communication back again, where Kane played the ball over the top, Sonny chested it down and hit the bar. Unlucky not to score. If he scored, nobody would be talking about Sonny coming into this game. But for me, I think you see Kulusevski come in at the weekend for Richarlison. I think you might even see Bentancur come out with Basuma go in there, because we'll have to work extremely hard. And I don't want to see Davies come in for Lenglet, but I can see the argument for it. But for me, I would keep Lenglet in there. If he puts in another solid performance defensively today and on the ball, I'd keep him in there, because if you can keep more of the possession against City, you're not under so much pressure. You're not under wave after wave of attack. But I can definitely understand the arguments. And I do think Sessegnon will come in for Perisic. I think Sessegnon will deliver a lot of the energy, maybe up until 65, 70 minutes. And then you'll see Perisic coming and take that. Because I don't think Perisic will be able to keep up with City for 90 minutes, if I'm being quite honest. So for me, I agree with Daigle. I don't want to see Davies come back in, though. I want to see Lenglet retain his place, because and do you know what, Sean? I get this whole argument about the rotation and all. We bought these players for a reason and stuff like that. But we also got to remember, we bought these players to assist our starting 11 as well. So that, because last season and years gone by, we're playing Kane in cup games where he shouldn't be seeing the field. You're playing Son in cup games. Højbjerg, even when you try resting him, you have to bring him off the bench at half time to come in and save their asses, stuff like that. And that's where you're going to see the benefit of a lot of these guys. When they're not being rolled out from Man City, Burnley, straight into Middlesbrough and cup game up north, where they don't want to be on a cold evening. You know, that's where you'll see the benefit of the squad and all these other players when they come in for the likes of the League Cup games, FA Cup games. If we can get the Champions League qualification done by 4 games, you'll see them come in for the last 2 maybe and be given an opportunity. That's where you'll see the benefit of it. But we don't need to be in a rush to rotate. Right now, with the games we've got coming up, Marseille and City, you put out your 2 best teams available and you go for it. And then the rotation will happen naturally. But we've also got to keep in mind, I get we bought these players, but we brought them so that we don't have to play Kane, Son, Højbjerg in League Cup games, FA Cup games and stuff like that, where you can actually say to them, do you know what? Sit at home, have a rest, you know?
Yeah, listen, I take your point, and I can completely understand it. For me, look, I think that there's 2 scenarios that can play out, though. When I mentioned earlier that the fact that it's not about the fact that we played 6 games. 6 games shouldn't be a problem for physically fit superstars. It's the frequency of the game, and I think that when you have a game every 3 days, and like right now, I think you saw Conte's comments over the last couple of days on the schedule. I know everyone's in the same boat who are playing in Europe, and he's choosing to view it as Tottenham are under the cosh. But I think that's just his partisan bias towards his own team. But I think everybody that's playing in Europe is under the same common umbrella because of the World Cup. What I would say though is that I think if you are playing if you're playing every 3 days, which we currently are, 3.5 days, then the time it takes to recover from an injury is not necessarily going to be endured, right? And so it's not so much about people being fatigued. I just worry sometimes about picking up niggling injuries. And for me, what worries me a little bit about tonight's team is I think we're good enough, even if we had Bissouma in the team. I'm not saying even if, because I think Bissouma's going to be an absolute worldie for Tottenham. But at the moment, I think he's struggling with a little bit with the tactics or whatever. But I worry very much that in an ideal scenario tonight, we're 3-0 up at half-time, and then in the 60th minute, we can make 5 changes, get Basuma on, get Ollie Skip some minutes, maybe get Matt Doherty some minutes.
Yeah.
All those sorts of, and definitely bring Decky on, give Kane a rest, whatever pick your poison for Conte. But in another scenario that's not quite as rosy tinted.
Just quickly, Sean, a couple of super chats whenever you're ready. Yeah, we'll get to them.
Yeah, I'm almost done. In another scenario, Højbjerg picks up a niggling injury. Bentancur takes a niggling injury against one of the. There's a couple of players in there tonight on the Marseille team. As if I haven't seen their team yet, but presuming it's the same as my selection, then it won't be. It'll be a tough game. They're tough. They're tough. And combative. So for me, I just worry about maybe risking our first 11 against a team that we probably wouldn't need to. I think you maybe could have had that, but hopefully it's not going to work. Hopefully that scenario is not going to pan out, and we can just make the substitutions. Carry on with your super chats.
They've got a lot of Arsenal players in there as well, so it's going to be a spicy one tonight. It really will. They've got Guendouzi, Said, Kolasinac, and Tavares as well. So yeah. I think you definitely have a point there, Shawnee. Faz Radfar says Conte focuses on winning the next game. That's a top mentality. I mean, Daigle, would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, he's right. Listen, like Sean was saying about with injuries, the main thing today is to just get 3 points on the board. And I think, like Sean said, once let's say we do get a comfortable lead, he may use these 5 subs and say, right, I've got to think about the weekend and get these people off. I'd love to see Ollie Skip come on and get some minutes. When you were talking about formations just before as well, I've spoken to this with Sean before. He might even go 3 in midfield against City on Saturday. You might see the trilogy of Bentancur, Højbjerg, and Bissouma because of what they've got in midfield. But I think it's vital that if we do take a lead, that's what he's got to do. Start thinking about the next game and thinking, right, City, start making these subs. We've got 5, and then take it from there. That's what we've got to do.
Yeah, nice.
100%. Get to the other one there now, and it is from Jetro Zulu. Pigeon going to be dancing tonight. Mark my words. Love that, Jetro. Love it, my man. Big yourself up, brother. Really appreciate the support and the laugh as well. Big yourself up, my man.
100%. I just want to take a quick pivot, guys. I want to ask you 2 things. A bit of news out this week. Obviously, Ben Davies had a bit of good news from the European Union, or whatever the rule has changed around him being now considered homegrown talent, which allowed Tottenham to bring in that additional foreign player. I'm guessing looking at it, it's either Bryan Hill or Pape Sarr. I don't know which one of the 2 was left out in the initial squad, but now can be counted. Do you think that kind of change has, is that a decent positive, or is it a kind of insignificant positive? Do you think that Bryan Hill or Pape Sarr will play any part in the Champions League unless there's any serious injuries to contend with over the course of the season? And I'll come to you for Brian on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Obviously, it's a positive because we can register 1 more player. So whatever way you look at it, do I think they will? If it's one of those 2, do I think they're going to get regular game time? No, I don't. Unless we get qualified damn early, where it's like, right, we've won our first 3 or 4 games, we're through, and then he can say, right, listen, we're top in the group, or run up for short. Now I can rest. Now I can say, players, you can take some time out, relax, recover, recuperate. That's when I think we'll see them. If you look at that lineup right now, and the 5 subs, I don't see Hill or Sarr unless there's a freak spate of injuries that happen. So it's good we can get to register 1 more player, but I think we'll only see that player if and when we've qualified and we've got games to spare.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm just going back in 1 sec.
Dave, I mean, same question to you. And also, do you think it's absolutely insane that if Ben Davies is allowed, why the hell Eric Dyer can't be? The fact that he's English, but he's not considered English, not considered homegrown. What's your take on the whole homegrown rule? Do you think the whole thing's nonsense, or does it make sense to you?
I think the one with Dyer is absolutely nonsense. The fact that he's got England caps and, he doesn't go down as homegrown, I do not understand it. I think it's an absolute farce, to be honest with you. Look, fair play to them for giving us the dispensation for Ben Davies. It makes our life a little bit easier. But, look, I understand them having to have the homegrown rule and stuff like that, because I think it's their way of trying to stop you from going out and also players train through the club. I think it's to try and, stop, was a tool to try and stop a lot of these billionaires coming in, but that doesn't seem to be working anymore. But in terms of the likes of Papa Marseille and Gil, do you know what, Sean? I genuinely think they'll actually benefit from being around. And I know they're not going to see major minutes this season, but I think they'll benefit from sitting around, being in the environment, knowing exactly what Conte wants from them to be able to get into the team, looking around at the professionals like Kane, Son, you know, Pierre-Emile Brickhouse Salzburg, I mean, Ben Teckers, you know, I mean, I think these guys will benefit from sitting around, being around these guys, seeing what they do on a daily basis. If they'll also understand what it takes to become a Tottenham Hotspur player, to be able to get regular minutes and stuff like that. So I think they'll benefit actually from being around, although I may not see as much minutes. I think they'll benefit from being around rather than being out on Valencia or back at Metz where Papa Marseille was and didn't play large parts. I mean, what's he going to learn off the elites out there? You know, so you're better off keeping him around here and learning off Antonio Conte. So for me, I'm happy to keep them around. It's a bit like what I would do with Gil is a bit like what Guardiola done with Phil Foden. Refused to loan him out and dip them in and out, you know, and have him around the superstars so he knows and the example is there for him on what he needs to do. So I'm okay having them guys around.
Yeah, same here, my man. Love what you're saying there. If you wouldn't mind just bringing up the screen again for a second, I do have the Marseille team, so I can confirm. And look at this absolutely saucy graphics from
what the hell?
Very saucy graphics from Marseille's social media team. The team is ever so slightly different. The only things I got wrong on it, where am I going here, is that Balerdi is not in, and his place has been taken by Gijo, who was one of the names. Sorry, let me go back to it. One of the names that was claimed as being injured. Everything else is the same. Klaus will be on the right. Tavares will be on the left. The ex-Arsenal player. Veretout, a pretty combative, very tough French midfielder. Rongier, he is the ball winner. Guendouzi, as I say, when he played for Arsenal, he was a box-to-box midfielder. He does get played in a more advanced role, and today he's going to be alongside Gerson, not who I had down. My man, where is he? Oh, excuse me.
You think Guendouzi would have cut his hair and no one Romero's about?
Mate, yeah, you've just taken my line. You gone, mate.
And Luis Suarez, not the Luis Suarez, not the Uruguayan Suarez. He likes to have a little nibble on various players' earlobes, but Luis Suarez from Colombia, not particularly a threat, if you ask me, having looked at his stats.
Don't say that, Sean. Don't say that.
Well, okay, fair enough. I don't want to tempt fate, but having looked at him, his highlights on my Y Scout report, he doesn't. He's a bit of a woeful finisher. And there is Cenk Under, who was the player I thought was going to play on the subs bench. Payet is on the bench as well, although he might just be making up the numbers. And there's Balerdi. Last thing I would say, guys, look out. We've got Eric Bailly, who's the Manchester United centre-back. He's played 70 times for Manchester United. He's starting at centre-back, so he's pretty woeful, if I'm entirely honest. And Mbemba, I don't know if you know about Mbemba, but he got released from pretty much every club he's been at because of lying about his age. No one knows how old he is. He's been caught with 4 different birth dates on 4 different documents. People don't know if he's 28 or 38.
Bloody hell.
But he's a big, solid centre-back, so expect some tough tackling from him today.
I'm not afraid of them, to be honest. Paul Lopez, ex-Tottenham keeper, failed to make it. That's why he's in France. Eric Bailly, ex-United player, failed to make it. That's why he's playing in France. You know, and Mbemba, you know, probably look at he's a bit of a Kanu. Same with that guy. People didn't know how old he was. Yeah. You know, Gige, never heard of him. Klaus, okay, decent enough. Tavares, ex-Gooner, 2 foot him. Veretout, okay, decent enough. Never heard of. Guendouzi, I want to be bald by the end of the game. In fact, the fact that he's coming out teasing Romero with hair like that and has the bollocks to do it, I can't wait to see Romero swing him. I'm not afraid of Marseille, Sean, at the end of the day.
I'm not afraid of Marseille.
There's levels. They struggle also themselves to make it out of group stages notoriously. It's been a long time since they've got out. And yeah, they're unbeaten in France, but I mean, me, Sean, and Dave will could form a team and be unbeaten in France. It's that bad. So
I think they got to the was it the semi-final of the Conference League last year, or was it the quarter-final? I think they did pretty well.
Yeah, semi-final got knocked out by Feyenoord, exactly. And I mean, if teams like Feyenoord are beating them, I mean, put Harry Kane and Son out there. I mean, we should be absolutely destroying these. I get respect and everything else. Look, I respect the food. I respect the French culture. You know, the likes of baguettes, frog legs, snails, everything else. But I do not respect their football team or a lot of the players that we seem to buy from there, bar Hugo Lloris. So for me, I want to pipe these today. A lot of ex-Gooners in there. It's going to be spicy.
It will be spicy, yeah.
You know, just absolutely. Look, set your stall out as you mean to go on in this competition. You want to take dominance of this group? Starts today. Take dominance of the game. Go out there. Show everybody. People are saying this is going to be a tight game. Prove to them. There's levels here. We've got world-class players. Yes, supposedly they're supposed to be decent enough on the back line. Don't concede too many. But we've got Son and Kane. Find me an answer for that. I guarantee you it won't. Come on, Spurs.
100%, my man. Brian, what are your thoughts on the Marseille team?
I don't even know where to go after David's in-depth analysis on that one.
Brilliant one.
All I will say is probably, like we said with Guendouzi in his hair, Romero's probably gone like that, and then Harry Kane's probably said to him, you know, he's an ex-Arsenal player, and his eyes have poked out like the cartoon. They go like literally watch out for that. Yeah, as soon as possible, someone will put one on him. Look, for me, the main threat of theirs, and like you said, he might be there to make up the numbers, is Dimitri Payet. If that guy comes on, listen, we know he caused a scene at West Ham on his second season. He is a wonderfully talented player who can definitely take a free kick. If he does,
was he 36 though?
I don't think he's that old. Surely he's not that old.
I think have a look.
I would, if he is, I stand corrected. But I don't think he is that old. It'll be 35 and
35.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
You've lied by a year, Sean. How dare you?
Sorry, everyone.
Man, you're trying to do with that guy that's got 4 different ages, aren't you? You're trying to start a trend. But yeah, listen. What I will say is, like we said before, we should beat them. We should go and get the 3 points. But like Dave was saying, we shouldn't fear them. But then look what happened with Zagreb with Chelsea. Look what happened with Zagreb with us. It's these games where if you take your eye off the ball, things will come back to haunt you. And the main thing, and I think the great thing with Antonio Conte, is the one thing he has been able to work on is their concentration. And yes, we've had a couple of off games, but he won't allow any slips. And we've just got to go into this game. Like we said, that Fulham first half performance was night and day compared to any other performance we've had this season. Yeah, night and day in the style of football, in the way we controlled it, the way we looked at threat going forward, the way we had Son coming forward. It just looked like a much more fluid performance. I think with the team we've got set up there, and you add Perisic to it, they're going to have to keep an eye on Perisic because he's got heat seeker missiles as his crosses because they always find their destination. They are just absolutely incredible.
The only problem with having a person who can cross is we have forwards who have got used to not having wing backs who can cross. They put the ball. I mean, I think Perisic had 8 crosses in that game against Fulham. 4 of them were successful. The other 4 weren't. But the 4 that weren't were put into the absolute sweet spot, right on the penalty area, or between the penalty. On the penalty spot, or between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. Absolute dream well position, and there was nobody there to capture it. We need to have more faith. I think the strikers on the pitch need to have more faith now in our ability to. Even Emerson is starting to whip the ball in with a bit more competence.
Well, it's what they do, isn't it? When we had Ericsson or when we had Toby and Dele was making those runs for those long balls, when they see that it's going in there and they know there's a good chance of getting there, they'll get there. They're just getting used to Perisic. They've seen him start 2 games, come off the bench on 1, or maybe start 3, and they've now seen his crosses 9 times out of 10. Yeah. They are going to be on the money or in the danger zone, at least in the danger zone.
I just really want everyone to pay attention to something that I noticed about Perisic, right? It's the cadence of his stepovers. Like most people can give away, like in poker, there's a tell, right? And with most people that are doing stepovers, they sort of, I guess defenders that are really intelligent can see the amount of stepovers and then figure out when the shift of weight comes, which way the guy's going to go. Against Perisic, his body stays vertical and his feet cross the ball over the ball, languid, very, very like almost sloppy in the way he does it, but it's at the exact same temperature, or it's not temperature, the exact same tempo is the word I'm looking for. And so it's very difficult. And then at the very last second, he just decides if he's going to go down the byline or cut inside. Incredibly difficult to predict. And I hope to see more of that this evening as he takes on Klaus and Mbemba. Your thoughts, Dave?
I would like to see him actually cut in onto that right foot and put one in top bins because he has that capability. He seems to be going down the left an awful lot and putting them in the box. But what I would like to see is maybe after the 3rd or 4th time of doing that, when they're anticipating you doing the same again, it doesn't matter even if they anticipate him because he's still going to put it in regardless. But Switch it up. Come in on your right and put one, bend one in. Let them know you have that threat. And then once you do that, they're going to be absolutely all over the shop because they know they have to stop you from going both ways, and you absolutely send them in a dizzy. But I agree. I think, again, Sean, I think once they see the consistent amount of crosses coming into good areas, eventually it'll be highlighted to likes of Kane, Son, and Richarlison, you know, to start gambling, get in there, you will get more goals. And I do agree with you. It was evident there was one game Emerson put the only good ball he put in that game, right on the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And they showed it with Harry Kane running, and he just stopped because he had no fit. He was going to reach there.
Yeah. Understandable, but now we've got to get now he's got to change his approach to it a little bit. I
100%.
think, you know, yeah. 100%.
But also you got to look at it the other way as well. That when Perisic was whipping these crosses in at Inter, he had Dumfries charging into the back post like Doherty was before he got injured. Emerson just isn't programmed that way. That's what we've got to focus on as well. We've got to get for when the crosses don't reach a man in the middle, there is that right wing back coming in on the far post to make up the numbers there. So that's something they've got to work on as well.
100%. Big up the Resonator, you new YouTube members. Make sure you get on the post-match fan show and celebrate Tottenham's win tonight, my man. Big yourself up the Resonator.
Just quickly, guys, there's a few people popping in now late that maybe haven't seen. I think they're asking for the team lineup. Dave, can you smash that share screen button just again quickly?
Of course I can, lad. Smash it like Tottenham.
Yeah, see, look how much easier that is to understand than that Marseille one. What the hell was that all about?
Well, but props to the graphics. The graphics look pretty sexy, I've got to be honest.
But just for those,
100%. Just for those late coming to the party, we've got Lloris in goal, Royale on the right, Longley on the left, and the back three of Romero, Dyer, and Longley, Dyer, Romero, Perisic on the left, Royale on the right, Bentancur, Højbjerg in the middle, and then Richarlison, Sonny, and Kane. And then we got a full bench. Basically everybody else that is fit with the exception of Lucas Moura. So it's a full strength team, guys. Got one more question for you before we come to the predictions, guys, and that is, look, going from what I've looked at with Marseille, I do think it's likely that you're going to see them in that kind of 3-4-2-1, and I think Guendouzi is someone that can drop back. He is a traditional box-to-box player, so I think that you will see Marseille trying to overload the midfield. If that is a situation that happens and we do lose possession, if we are struggling, if Højbjerg and Bentancur are struggling against the extra man and the high press, similar to how Chelsea dominated us in the first half, similar to the same struggles we had a bit about against Wolves as well, who would you like to see come in and kind of give that extra comfort, that extra protection to Bentancur and Højbjerg? Do you want to see it from the wing-backs? Would you like to see it from one of the forwards? Or would you like to see it from, say, a Dyer or a Romero to kind of step up and support Bentancur and Højbjerg if there's a numbers problem in the midfield? And I'll come to you, Dave, on this one first, mate.
Do you know what? I'll be honest. I can see your point, but a lot of the times the only reason it becomes a problem is if they keep holding the ball. But now that we've got Romero and Langley, we're going to be very hard to get the ball off us. And, you know, if they do press us, at times last season, it's the way, you know, we thrived off it. We were smashing teams 4-1, 5-1, you know what I mean, scoring goals for galore. So once we keep Romero and Langley in there, I don't think that outnumbered in midfield become a problem because we're the ones controlling the ball. So for me, I don't really see it being a problem. But if it does become a problem, we need to find a solution before half-time instead of making it so. Do you know what? I think you could pull one of the forward players back in there. Maybe a Kane, maybe a Richarlison to get back in there. But I don't think he'll do that. I think what we will do is we'll revert to type, sit right back on top of that back line, keep it tight and wait for them to lose the ball and hit them on a counter. And that way then you don't need to pull someone else in to help them out.
Love that. Look, Brian,
Jeremy Brickhouse and Salzburg and Ben Tekker's my man. You know, sprinkle that with a bit of Perisic. Don't worry about it.
I'm not too worried about it. But look, I would posit to you, Brian, that you know the one player that played in the front three last week, and if you looked at his heat map, you wouldn't be able, and you didn't know it was you didn't know it was Richarlison. You wouldn't know what position he was playing. The guy had like a consistent blend of yellow across the entire pitch. There was no red. It was all yellow. He was absolutely everywhere. You wouldn't know if he was playing a 6, an 8, a 9, a 7, or 11, or a 10. So to me, I think the answer would be if there is a problem, you're going to see Richarlison come back and do the business. Brian, what are your thoughts, my man?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you because that guy, one of the things we all love about him or could see is his work rate. He will chase anything down all over the place. He will just run close men down. He will press. He will do everything that is asked of him and more. So I see him having a big part. But I think if it gets bypassing him, I think you may see Longley. I think you may see Longley step up,
yeah,
and leave a back two with Dyer and Romero, because Longley, if he can get his foot on the ball, what he can do is his passing is incredible. His reading of the game is incredible, and that's the thing I liked about Longley, and what I have seen of him when I went to study stuff in his time in Spain. He doesn't need to make the sliding tackles because he can read it and see it coming. It's his anticipation and his reading of the game. If you can get a ball playing player that can read the game, get the ball, and then spring something, then I think to start off with, it will start off being Richarlison. But I reckon if that's not doing its desired or having its desired effect, because it's then leaving Richarlison out of position when we do retain the ball, it may be more important to say, all right, Longley, step up. So when we do get the ball, we can spring the three of them up front. So I reckon it will start Richarlison, but I reckon Longley may have a big thing to do with it.
Love that, mate. Love that, Brian. Listen, guys, we're coming to the end. Just one last question for you before you guys obviously will plug your channels. And before we hand over the keys to Bob Spur and Ranji Torino for the main game itself, Brian, I'll stick with you, my man. What is your scoreline prediction for tonight's Champions League opener?
So today, and in honour of Superman being in the studio today, I'm going to go for a Bob Spur. I'm going to go 4-1. I'm going to go 4-1 Tottenham. I'm going with the Bob Spur.
That's comfort. That's comfort. That is comfort food. It's like a bowl of cereal at night when you're woken up and you're just a little bit hungry, but not really, but you just want something to take away the anxiety. That's a nice anxiety-free scoreline for me. Dave, mate, over to you, buddy. What's your scoreline?
Do you know what, Sean? I feel fucking good today, my man. I'm going 3-0 Tottenham. I think you look at Harry Kane's record in Champions League, 24 games involved in 23 games. That's 23 goals. That's 20 goals and 3 assists. He is absolutely made for European nights, and he gets himself up for it. Sonny, he's going to deliver tonight. Richarlison will be buzzing his first Champions League match. Look, we're in the all lily white as a tribute to Bill Nick as well. We're going to look good, they're going to feel good, and we're going to play good. I reckon we'll beat them frog legs eaters 3-0 in my opinion. Harry Kane with 2, Sonny with 1. Let's get after them.
I'm going to join you, my man. I've had a bet on 3-0 Tottenham. I don't think listen. I could be completely wrong about my analysis, but I do think that Marseille will look to start bright. So we're going to maybe ride out the first 15, 20 minutes, and then when they slow down, or when we get comfy, then we can go and pounce like pythons. And I'm excited about it. I'm going to say 3-0 too. I've gone for Kane, 1 for Sonny. Sonny's going to break his duck this evening. And then I've got a little sneaky feeling that Richarlison's going to get booked again for taking his shirt off this time when he scores the pigeon dance. Whoever said it on the super chat earlier, the pigeon dance is coming out. And I cannot wait to see it, Mr. Zulu. All right, guys, listen, Brian, what's coming up on your channel, man? And please tell us where people can find you.
Yeah, there's obviously you can find me on Tottenham on tour with Danny Kiriakou. Danny Kiriakou. Brian Ireland, obviously we've got Ben Kaufman, we've got Ryan Isaac Kennar, we've got Amir all the way in Israel that do bits with us as well now. Hopefully there should be something tomorrow or Friday during the day. But if not, Brian Ireland and I will be back here 8 p.m. Eastern time, 1 a.m. UK time. Excuse me, for the Friday.
Oh, Friday. Okay.
For the late show that we do on Fridays on WeAreTottenhamTV. But next week we should have quite a bit coming out on Tottenham on tour. So that's where you can find me.
Get over there, guys.
No way.
Half the community has joined Tottenham on tour in the last couple of weeks. You can always put out a full first team 11. Absolutely superb. Get over there, guys. Smash that link for Brian if you haven't already. I'm sure you have, but make sure those subs keep going up. I think you're only a couple away, aren't you, from 5,000 now, Brian?
Let's have a look. Where are we? Tottenham on tour. We are 60 away from 5,000.
Massive milestone for you guys. It's awesome. And Dave, everyone knows, but just remind everyone, just in case there's some new people in the house today that don't, where can everyone find you, my man?
I was going to give you the honour going first, but since you've given it to me, I'll take it, Shawnee. You guys can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. We're about 50 away from reaching 8K. I would love to reach it today, especially off the back of a nice big Champions League win, you know, back where we belong. Yeah, we do a whole range of content. You can find myself over there, Jacko over there. These two ugly mugs have been on there from time to time as well, you know. So get over there, smash the subscribe button, and help a Spurs fan out. Let's go, Shawnee. Where can people find you, man?
You can find me at Spurs Talk Show, guys. Yeah, we do. It's myself and Adam is my Adam William Cahill's my kind of number one guy at the moment, and loving the pieces. You can find me over there doing watch-alongs, doing Tottenham walks, where I take my dog out in the countryside around here and get things off my chest, and other things throughout the week. All the usual stuff. And I think we're about 80 away from 3,000. So would love it if any of you guys who haven't yet hit the subscribe button to my channel, just come and check us out, and hopefully you'll enjoy the content we provide. But obviously, make sure we go over and get these guys there. We're all just around the corner from major milestones for our channels. It's quite exciting.
But the only people that have the power to make it happen is you guys out there, the We Are Tottenham TV army.
Right.
If we lose tonight, I'm blaming you guys for not getting over and helping support fellow Spurs fans. But don't worry, that's not going to happen. But look, I think we're coming to the end of the show, my man.
We are
100%. Yeah, I mean, I'll leave it for you to Dave to sign us out.
Yeah, well, look, you know, Champions League nights are back. We'll leave you guys for the watch-along. We'll leave you and Bob and Baz, Ranjit, whatever you want to call them. We'll leave you in their hands. It'll be an absolute whopper of a watch-along. We're back where we belong. Go and get the drinks out the fridge. Let's fucking go. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
The champions! Da, 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 da.